Now, after having done Fewell's principles of management, now we switch over to scientific management. Now, what is scientific management? It is basically knowing exactly what you want your men to do and seeing to it that they do it in the best and cheapest way. This definition has been given by F.W. Taylor, and he is the one who's responsible for basically formulating these principles of scientific management. Now we'll talk about 4 principles of scientific management. The first one being science, not rule of thumb. Taylor believed that there was only one best way of doing things efficiently, right? He did not approve, the rule of thumb, that is the trial and error method. What he did was that what he stressed on was that each element of the job should be analyzed properly, right? Each element of the job should be analyzed properly, and one best way of doing that work should be found out. One best way of doing the work should be found out by analyzing each and every element of the job, right? So that becomes a standard method of doing that particular job, right? Now that particular standard method is going to be used throughout the organization for that particular job. This is going to lead to specialization also, and this is going to result in saving time, right? Because we are not going to be wasting any time in using trial and error method. So he promulgated science and not rule of thumb. Secondly, harmony, not discord. Now, according to this principle, harmony, not discord, Taylor said that there should be absolute cooperation there should be absolute harmony, cooperation between the employees of an organization and the management of an organization, right? Both of them, employees as well as the management, they should think that they are a part of one organization. They are one. They are not 2 different entities, right? There is a need for a complete mental revolution. That is a complete change in thought process or thinking on part of the employees as well as on part of the management, right? Like we gave the previous example also, that in formulating the policies, if the management, while formulating the policies and goals and objectives of an organization, if management involves the employees during that process, so it will become employees are going to be feeling a part of the organization. They will feel more connected to the organization, and management will not face much of a problem in implementation of those policies. Why? Because those policies were established or were framed with the consent of the employees. By equal involvement of the employees was there, right? So there has to be harmony. They should not be working at cross purposes. They should not be working at cross purposes. Both of them should think of one another. Management should share the gains of the companies with the workers, right? And worker on their part should work hard for the betterment of the organization to increase the profits of the company. Next principle that is there is cooperation and not individualism. This means that there should be complete cooperation between the management and the labor instead of individualism. Competition should be replaced by cooperation. There shouldn't be any kind of competition between the management and the laborers, right? There should be a complete cooperation between the management and the laborers of a particular organization, right? This is just cooperation and not individualism. This is just an extension of the previous principle, that is harmony and not discord, right? For all important decisions taken by the management, workers should be taken into confidence, and at the same time, workers should not go on strikes and make demands which the management will not be able to fulfill. Workers should also put forth their demands, keeping the organizational interest in mind, right? Because we know that at all points of times, it is for the betterment of the organization that all the decisions are to be taken, right? There should be an open there should be open communication between the management and the workers. The management should be able to communicate with the workers that right now the organization is not in a good financial position to be able to meet your expectations. So you need to cooperate with us, right? In the same way, the workers should also, feel comfortable enough to put forth their problems in front of the management, right? That these are our grievances and these are the reasons why we are not happy in this organization and these are our demands, right? So there has to be a two-way communication process. It's very important. Last principle, that is development of each and every person to his or her greatest efficiency. Now, for this development of each and every person to his greatest efficiency, Taylor says that every person should be scientifically selected. Now, what does he mean when he says that each and every person should be scientifically selected? After you have scientifically analyzed each and every element of the job and you found out that this is the standard procedure for doing the job, keeping that in mind, you should select just the right person who will be able to perform that job in the best possible manner. By doing so, you are going to enable that person to work to his greatest efficiency. Right? Only if you are going to select the right person for the right job, that you will be able to help him to reach to his greatest efficiency. Right? Efficient employees will be able to produce more and earn more, and this will ensure greatest efficiency and prosperity for both employees as well as the companies. Now, this was all about the principles of management. Children, be very careful that many a times you confuse the principles of scientific management with the techniques of scientific management. Principles of scientific management, there are only 4 principles we've learned. That is science, not rule of thumb, harmony, not discord, cooperation, not individualism, and development of each and every employee to his greatest efficiency. Now coming to the techniques of scientific management. The first technique that we talk about here is functional foremanship. Now, just I'd like to repeat over here that these principles of scientific management, they are meant basically for the operational or supervisory level of management, unlike the Fayol's principles of management, which were mainly meant for the administration, right? Now, according to Fayol, a factory manager, a factory foreman, okay, he must possess the qualities of intelligence, education, tact, judgment, special knowledge, honesty, energy, and good health. Now, since one person, it is not necessary that one person has all these qualities. So therefore, Taylor suggested, to separate the work of planning from the work of production, right? To separate the work of planning from the work of production, and each workman is going to work under 8 different clerks. Okay? Each worker is going to work under 8 different clerks. I said the job of planning is separated from the job of production. Now there's going to be a planning in charge and there's going to be a production in charge. Under the planning in charge, there are 4 different clerks we have. We have an instruction card clerk who's going to prepare the instructions which are to be given to the workmen. Then we have the route clerk who's going to be specifying the route of production. Then we have the time and cost clerk who's going to prepare the time and the cost sheet, and a disciplinarian who's going to ensure discipline in the organization. So this was all about the planning job. Now coming to the execution part of it, that is a production in charge. There is a speed boss who's going to ensure that the entire work of production is being done on time. Then there is a gang boss which ensures the availability of machinery, tools and equipment. And then there's a repair boss who takes care of any kind of repairs which are required to be done on the machinery, etc. And then there is inspector who ensures that everything is being done as per the plan, and also checks onto the quality of the products which is being manufactured is as per the standards. So as a result, one workman is working under 8 different bosses. Now you must be thinking, and it's quite true also, that this particular, and this may be asked as a question, that which one technique of scientific management goes against the principle of unity of command. Unity of command says that each person should receive orders from one boss. Here, one workman is going to be working under 8 different bosses, right? So this is the technique of scientific management which goes against the principle of unity of command. Second technique of scientific management that we are going to talk about is standardization and simplification. Now, what is the meaning of standardization? It means process of setting standards for every business activities. We have standards for products, we have standards for raw material, we have standards for machinery, method, working condition, everything. सब चीजों के लिए हमने एक स्टैंडर्ड बना दिया है that this is the way it should be. Now, this is going to result in saving of time, right? Again, there's going to be specialization, there's going to be cost cutting, right? Now, basically, if you want to take an example, companies like Nokia and Microsoft, they have gone in for these techniques of standardization and simplification. You have standard sizes, you have standard colors, right? And you have standard manufacturing processes. Right? After the job has been scientifically analyzed, after the job has been scientifically analyzed, you develop a standard procedure by which the product is going to be manufactured. That product which has been manufactured must meet the standards, pre-established standards of a product, right? Now, what are the objectives of standardization? To reduce a product to fixed types, sizes and characteristics, to establish standards of excellence and good quality, right? To establish standards of performance of men and machines. This was about standardization. Then coming to simplification. Simplification basically means removing unnecessary diversity of product. If you look at Nokia, right? They are only into mobiles. There is no diversity of products, right? If you talk about Samsung, there is no simplification, right? They are into mobiles also, they are into television also, they are into washing machines also, right? There are so many other things that they have. There are different product lines that they have entered into. Simplification means that removing unnecessary diversity of product, rather sticking to one line of limited line of product. This leads to saving in cost of labor, machines and tools. जितनी कम line of products होगी आपके पास, उतना आपको कम machinery और equipment लाना पड़ेगा, right? This will also result in saving of cost of labor. Labor भी उतनी कम. The third technique of scientific management that we are going to talk about today is work study, and which has 4 elements: method study, motion study, time study and fatigue study. Now, under method study, according to Taylor, there is only one best way or one best method of performing a task, and the main objective of method study is to find that one best way of doing a task so as to minimize the cost of production and maximize the product quality and customer satisfaction, right? Second comes your motion study. The main objective of motion study is to eliminate all the unnecessary movements, right? So that a job can be done in less amount of time and in the most efficient manner. For this, a close observation of the employee while he is doing a job, उसको अच्छे से observe करते हैं कि क्या-क्या उसकी body movements हैं, right? And then we find out that what are the body movements which are unnecessary, right? And which can be avoided, and which are not important, which can be avoided, so that जितना टाइम उसको लग रहा है एक टास्क कम करने में, उसको हम और कम कर सकें. Right? The main aim of motion study is to eliminate unnecessary and unproductive movements. Remember the point? Unnecessary and unproductive movements. Third is time study. Time study क्या है? That we are trying to find out what is the standard time which is taken by an employee to finish off a particular work. अगर हमें पता है कि let's say if we talk about manufacturing of garments, right? If a tailor takes about 1 hour in making one piece of shirt, he takes 1 hour in making one piece of shirt. So we know that in a day, if he is working effectively for 7 hours, we should be able to have 7 shirts from him. He should be able to make 7 shirts for us, right? The main objective of time study is to determine the number of workers required to be employed so that the task is achieved effectively and efficiently. अगर मुझे 700 pieces of shirts बना के देने हैं, if I have to make 700 pieces of shirts, so if I employ one worker, वो मुझे 7 shirts देगा, right? And if I'm employing 10 workers, they are going to give me 70 shirts per day, so I'm going to be able to achieve my target within a period of 10 days, right? Within a period of 10 days. Are we clear? Then comes next, fatigue study. Now, if you expect, I mean, you would have seen that in your classrooms also there is no teacher. I mean, you don't have a teacher teaching you right from the beginning. At the beginning of the day, at from 8 to 2, there is only one day. We do have breaks, right? We teachers also are given free periods. You people as students, you have your tiffin breaks, right? We talk about, now this is a different thing altogether. We talk about the factory workers. No, they cannot work at stretch, and if they cannot work at a stretch, they have to be given some kind of rest intervals. Now, fatigue study basically tries to determine the amount and frequency of rest intervals in completing a task. ठीक है, कि उसको लंच ब्रेक देना है तो कितनी देर का देना चाहिए, और अगर उसको लंच ब्रेक के अलावा यू वांट टू गिव हिम सम टी ब्रेक, और यू वांट टू गिव हिम सम रिफ्रेशमेंट ब्रेक और फ्रूट ब्रेक काइंड ऑफ अ थिंग, तो कितनी ड्यूरेशन का होना चाहिए, हाउ फ्रीक्वेंटली शुड इट बी गिवन, राइट? सो 4 methods we've talked about. Method study, 4 elements of work study we've talked about: method study, motion study, right, time study, and fatigue study. Fourth and the last test technique of scientific management, that is differential piece wage system. The main aim of differential piece wage system was to differentiate efficient employees from the inefficient employees, right? Many times you would have seen, like, you know, if for a tailor, you know, if in a garment manufacturing unit, right, tailors are never paid on daily basis. They are never paid on daily basis that per day का आपको 300 rupees मिलेगा, because if that is the case, right, if a tailor is capable of manufacturing, you know, 4 garments in a day, he will manufacture only 2, right? Because in any case he says that I am going to get 300 rupees per day, irrespective of the number of the garments that I make. But if you make it a piece wage system, more the number of the piece, you are going to be paid as per the piece. ठीक है, कि आप पर पीस जितना बना रहे हो आपको 70 रुपए मिलेगा. So more the number of the pieces that you are going to manufacture, more is the amount that you are going to be paid, right? But differential piece wage system इसी की extension है, piece wage system की extension है. That is wherein we are distinguishing between efficient and inefficient employees. Let's take an example. If the standard output is 100 units, ठीक है, standard output is 100 units that an average worker is going to produce is 100 units. Now we give them an incentive that if you are going to produce, anyone producing more than or equal to 100 or more, you are going to be paid at the rate of rupees 40 per piece or 40 per unit. And if you have produced less than equal to if you have produced less than 100, if you have produced less than 100, then you are going to be paid at the rate of rupees 30 per unit, right? Now if worker A produces 90, how much amount are you going to pay him? 90 into 30, that is 270. ठीक है, that is 270. And if worker B has been able to produce 110, then what is the amount that he is going to be paid? 110 into 40, that is 440. So worker B, who's more efficient, gets 440, and worker A, who's less efficient, gets 270. The difference in output is only 20 units, but difference in wages is 170 units. Difference in wages is 170 units. So this is basically a technique which will motivate the workers to produce more than the standard output. This is going to motivate the workers to produce more than the standard output so that they are able to earn more amount of money. Now, after having studied Fioll's principles of management and Taylor's principles of scientific management, let us have a comparison between the two, that is Fioll's principles of management and Taylor's. The first basis of difference, let's take it as perspective. Now Fayol stressed on improving efficiency of the top level of management. These principles were basically meant for the top level of the management, whereas F.W. Taylor, he stressed on improving efficiency at the floor level, that is at the supervisory level of management, because his principles were more for the workers working at the supervisory level, workers working in the factory, right? Secondly, focus. In case of Fayol, focus was on improving the overall administration. Here it was basically on increasing workers' productivity, right? Because as I said, that they were made mainly for the factory workers. Unity of command. He strongly recommended, Fayol was a strict follower of principle of unity of command. That is, one employee should receive orders only from one boss. But F.W. Taylor did not consider it important. He did not consider the principle of unity of command important. Rather, he suggested the technique of functional foremanship, wherein one factory worker was working under eight specialists, right? Then basis of formation. These principles were formed on the basis of the personal experiences of Henry Fayol, and whereas the scientific principles, they were formed on the basis of observation, research and experimentation. Last but not the least, Henry Fayol's principles of management, they are universally applicable, whereas the scientific principles of scientific management, they are only applicable in specific situations or specialized situations, that is, they are applicable only in case of the production activities and not anywhere else. Having done the comparison between Fayol and Taylor, we should also not miss on to that what are the similarities between these two, right? The first one is that both the principles, they aim at maximizing efficiency. Maximizing efficiency meaning completing the task to enable the top level management and the supervisory level management to complete the task at the minimum possible cost. Efficiency means that you are able to complete the job at the least possible cost. Second, they both insist on cooperation of management and employees. In case of Henry Fayol, esprit de corps, right, which says unity is strength, and in case of scientific principles of scientific management, it is harmony, not discord, and cooperation and not individualism. Both of them, they stress upon cooperation between management and employees. Both give importance to organizational interest over individual interest, right? In case of Henry Fayol, it is subordination of individual interest to the organizational interest, and in case of Taylor's scientific principles of management, it is cooperation and not individualism. We should not be thinking about our own individual interest, rather we should be thinking about the organizational interest. All the decisions and actions, managerial actions, should be directed towards the achievement of the organizational goals. Last but not the least, both suggest division of work for specialization, right? In case of Fayol, he's also suggested that the entire process should be divided into smaller tasks, wherein each task is to be taken care of by a specialist or a trained employee. And the same thing was suggested by Taylor as well, when he said that entire job should be closely analyzed and the best method of doing their job should be found out, right? And by practicing that job over and over again, the employee is going to specialize in performing that job, and one day he'll be able to perform that job in the most efficient manner. So these were the differences in the principles formed by Fayol and Taylor, and there are few similarities as well. Thank you.